So today I want to talk to you about something called toxic positivity. And that really means is the belief that you must maintain a positive outlook regardless of kind of how dire the situation is. So, a lot of successful people maintain pretty positive outlooks even in situations that are considered pretty bad or ominous. But the reality of it is there's a point that you got to make sure that your positivity isn't toxic and really interfering with your personal growth. So, kind of the question is, do you suffer from toxic positivity? And really, if you do, you feel really uncomfortable really dealing with negative emotions. Now, many of us do have a fear of dealing with negative emotions, but the reality of it is we need to experience these emotions too and work through them, not just ignore them. So, what are some kind of downsides of the toxic positivity? Well, kind of the first thing is you're never going to see that bus that's about to hit you. And really, what that means is toxic positivity is absolutely a refusal to face the reality of kind of the situation you're in. So it's kind of the equivalent of standing in traffic and there's a bus about to hit you, and you're really just kind of refusing that reality and saying, "I'm just going to think happy thoughts, and this bus won't hit me." Another consequence of toxic personality is you develop what's called optimism bias. And this is pretty much a term that's synonymous for positivity. And really, this person has such an unrealistic high level of optimism under any circumstance that they really believe they're immune to any negative outcomes or negativity. So, again, a positive outlook on things is helpful as long as it's kind of based or foundationed in reality. So, you know, the person that smokes, they might be well aware of the health problems with smoking, but they aren't concerned because they just maintain this positive outlook that no, well, this isn't going to happen to me. I'm a great person. And that's when it really becomes a problem for you. So when you have optimism kind of minus the realism, that's really a potential problem. So again, optimism is good, you know, but untethered, it really runs away with this optimistic belief. They can really become a potential problem and really a recipe for your disaster. So, keeping a positive viewpoint is good, but you also have to accept the reality of the situation you're in. Now, the positivity can help you address and overcome that adverse thing. But again, it's important that you don't let just this positive thinking take away from your perception of reality. And then another thing is, really unbridled optimism is not a magic pill. You can't just sit there and think that everything's happy and working great and the world be that way. The reality of it is we all have a significant challenges in life. We're going to have ups and downs emotionally, and addressing those downtimes or those negative emotions is essential for us. Another thing is with toxic positivity, you're going to have a shorter lifespan. Um, and that's really because how the data is that it's related to stress and really hiding away those negative feelings instead of dealing with them. They kind of bury them in you, and that creates stress. And that's kind of the concept of toxic person or positivity, is that you can never experience a negative or down emotion, and so you just bury them away. So what are some telltale signs of toxic positivity? Well, you ignore the problem. So, thinking positive and positive things will always happen to you. This is advice often given, kind of in that self-help arena. This is encouragement to really never give in to any negative emotions. And really, the problem with this way of thinking, it doesn't allow you to solve the many problems that are in your life. So, you're really ignoring the negative experiences doesn't make them go away. You're going to have to deal with them, and again, like I already said, if you bury them, it actually causes stress in your life, right, and is really unhealthy for you. So closing your eyes and thinking positively in the face of this, this charging hungry lion, probably isn't going to give you the best outcome. Another consequence is you develop guilt and self-resentment, and really, toxic positivity doesn't allow you to recognize the full scope of your emotions. So you realize you're sad about something, and then you immediately chastise yourself, and you're disappointed in yourself because you're like, I'm supposed to have all these happy feelings or these positive feelings, and now I'm experiencing these negative feelings, and so I feel guilty for allowing myself to do that. It's important to understand that in life, we're going to have, again, ups and downs. And you have to address those down times and let yourself experience those negative emotions and work through those negative emotions. Another thing is you're going to minimize and downplay the feelings of others. If you're constantly positive and always in this environment of, hey, you can do it, everything's great, you really kind of minimize other people's negative emotions. And so you're kind of telling them, don't experience those emotions, just be positive. And really, if you're someone that is experiencing negative emotions, you really don't really often like interacting with someone that's just telling you, hey, chin up. You just got to change your mindset. And as opposed to that good friend that's saying, hey, let's work through these emotions. Another problem is you're going to disguise how you really feel. So inside you may be feeling down or unhappy, but you've told yourself you always got to have this positive face. So you're putting this positive, facade out there, and the reality of it is you're really hiding how you're feeling. So, these are some consequences of toxic positivity. But again, I don't want you to confuse toxic positivity versus empowering rational optimism. So look on the bright side. That's just one of the many pieces of advice that we're told kind of in that positive thinking world. Well, the reality is bad things are going to happen to you, and there's no denying this. And one of the things you can do is remember you're in control, and you're always in control of your reactions to the event and situation. And so, really, thinking at them in a rational way, you can still create the optimism, but also do it in light of taking action. Meaning, I'm optimistic, but these are the things I'm going to do to work through this hard time, not just I'm happy, therefore I can ignore the hard time. So, this is some things that is really essential. A lot of people in personal health and kind of that self improvement. Often you hear you just got to maintain this positive attitude. And yes, you have to maintain a positive attitude, but you need to do it in light of the reality you're in. And again, you're going to have good days and you're going to have bad days. So on those bad days, you can't just ignore it and say, hey, I'm positive, therefore I don't have to address this problem. No, you have to look at the problem and say, okay, what am I going to do? Still in an optimistic kind of mindset, but now empower yourself to take action so you can work through that problem. So, what are some ways you can defeat toxic positivity? Well, the first thing is practice mindfulness. And really, that means having an awareness of kind of your current situation, live in the now. Often we're thinking of the past or the future versus how we're feeling right now. So, mindfulness has us really kind of slow down our thought process and really analyze how it is we're thinking, what it is we're feeling, and can kind of it is we're thinking that way or feeling that way. And it also allows us to acknowledge both negative and positive emotions. And so mindfulness is something that's very helpful. Another thing you can do is feel your feelings. So mindfulness helps you do that. Mindfulness is very much a strategy that helps you understand or feel your feelings. But the important thing is your emotions are yours. Your feelings that right now you're feeling a certain way for a reason. It doesn't mean you're any less of a man if you cry, or you're not any less of a woman if you don't express your emotions to others. But the reality of it is understand your emotions and understand why you're feeling that way. And then if you don't like those emotions, don't just ignore them and say, I'm going to think positive and make them go away, but actually create an action plan to work through them. And another thing you can do is if you think of children, uh, they don't hold back their feelings, and so if you can be more childlike, meaning that let your body and yourself experience your emotions. We often, as we get older and older, kind of start to mask our emotions. And so we want to give that facade of this positivity. But the reality of it is we need to let ourselves experience those emotions because, like I said already, burying them causes lots of stress and turmoil in your life and really isn't letting you be your authentic self. So, again, it's important to maintain that positive outlook, but it's also important to remember that you can't just wish things away because of a positive outlook. That you must use kind of your optimism based in reality on how you're going to overcome some hardships in life because you're going to run into them. So, again, hopefully this is helpful. If there's anything we can do for you, just let us know. Thanks.